Hello everyone, my name is Ian Whittle, and I'll be discussing ways to help mitigate climate change. Now to give a brief overview of what climate change is when temperature or weather patterns change after a long time. But f- but due but due to the human interaction, emissions are currently being released at an alarming pace, accelerating this rapid change. While we've had natural cycles of climate change over the past few millennia, human interaction has caused a massive spike in emissions, accelerating said change. I will now be discussing multiple ways that can help mitigate climate change. The first topic that can be discussed is the most obvious one, green energy. It's perhaps the most mainstream topic and the one that's most circulated on the news. Contra, even if certain sides disagree on it, the energy that's released does not release any emissions at all compared to other sources such as coal or gas. It also can it also can be pretty helpful if, say, a country imports its resources, as they'll no longer be held to the whims of another country. As a good example being Russian gas being imported into Europe after Russia invaded Ukraine. Europe cut off and began to focus more on domestic energy, one of which was green energy. Another way of good way of preventing this is through building efficiency. Is Through building efficiency, we can find ways to prevent buildings from consuming so much energy. Find ways to make it more efficient, like you know, find ways like increase insulation, along with such as using heat pumps, electric stoves, and light energy efficient light bulbs, lighting controls, cooling. There's many ways to do this, and it's perhaps another. It's a way that's talked about sometimes, but not it's not always in the mainstream cycle. Now, the most interesting one is specifically location, because whenever you build an apartment, place a pipe, or where you can place a computer, it's always going to be the location, location, and location. Where you construct housing, where you construct housing, depending on where you put it on, say near, depending on where you put it, is where you determine the emissions or not. For example, if you were to build apartments on the outskirts, like in a former industrial area, while land's cheap, easy to build, but the cost is that it's pretty far away from any major places such as restaurants, stores, shopping centers. No. However, if you were to find certain lots that were, say, close, or even take or unused lots in major areas, you can use it to build homes, whether apartments or single use, and place them there near major important centers. Or even when you're constructing new area, or if you choose to construct new homes or apartments, choose to include areas for local business. A strong example of this can be the San Luis Ranch area in San Luis Obispo. The area the location is currently at is in between two major shopping centers. On one side, you'll have major retail stores like Target, Costco, and Whole Foods, but also on the other side, you have access to stores such as Best Buy and Cost Plus. It also has a small area for local businesses. I have been there before, and I can and there has been there is some local business areas such as a local shopping center, a coffee shop, even a candle and a pastry store. Either either it's just due to its location, the location from both the major stores and the local stores is within walking distance, thus avoiding the need of, say, transport emissions through cars. Plus this, due to the area having built-in bike lanes, you can just bike there, being a very simple example. Another, perhaps the most unspoken of all the wait of all the emissions being released is the agricultural sector, due to the fact of its large makeup, and also the fact that almost any attempt to reduce emissions from farmers usually results in major protests, as seen from the European Union protests. However, currently research is being done to help find ways to cut emissions. For example, if you increasing soil health, through crop rotation, eliminating disturbance keep certain emissions in the ground, and along with limiting fertilizers, along with partially limiting fertilizer. For livestock, what can be done is for livestock, we can do is do an increase of composition and aerobic digestion to use for energy use to help power certain machines and tools, along with restoring land to heal soil and restore soil to capture carbon. Now, of course, through all this, you can think, wow, this is amazing. We have such many ways. But of course, the main issue with all these is simply just money. As we all know, things cost a lot now. Building everything can take a lot of money, especially in California, where all costs are pretty much in the millions. Not to mention that in building some of these areas, we were destroying areas of natural disturbance areas, and even releasing emissions during those destructions. Is there a solution to this? Well, realistically, the best way that can be done is further research to help find ways to continue to cut emissions. Well, not exactly the most interactive way. It's perhaps it's the best we can do is through research, studies, and evaluations. We can confirm whether or not what to do to help fight emissions and continue to find ways to mitigate climate change. These are all my sources along with the script that I used for this whole interaction. I thank you for watching. I hope you have a good day.